The most important thing that you have already acknowledged is that tiredness is about resistance. In the same way that you can feel the ease in setting your canoe into the stream and going with the flow, as compared with going against the current. An absence of resistance yields you that benefit of time also. In other words, there is so much more leverage in vibration than there is in action. So if you've taken the time to pre-pave, which is to imagine, if you've taken the time to raise your vibration, as in meditation or appreciation, if you've taken the time to line up your energies, now any action that you offer is going to be very productive action, because it's action that is inspired from that connected place, where if you don't take the time to line up and you offer your action, it's harder and it accomplishes less. Haven't you noticed that the better you feel, the better things go, and the worse you feel, the worse things go? Yeah. Let's say that you have a series of phone calls that you need to make. When you take the time to get into alignment, your timing of making those calls will be appropriate. The inspiration of when to make them and the inspiration of what to say while you're making them will net you much clearer results than if from your place of worry and therefore misalignment you forge forward with the action. Esther one day was feeling a shortage of time. They were in a restaurant, and Esther had brought a notebook along to talk to Jerry about different things while they were having lunch. And she literally had pages of things that were on a notebook entitled Things to Do Today. It was quite funny. 10 people could not have done that list that she had been dragging around. And so in her overwhelmment, she said, "Abraham, what should I do?" And we explained to her that when you have so much to do that you have that feeling of overwhelmment, you're not in the flow, you're not in vibrational alignment, and the inspiration can't be received by you. Your timing's off. Everything's harder. Draw a line down the center. They were sitting in a restaurant with a paper placemat, and we said, draw a line down the center of this page, and on the left side, write a heading that says, "Things I will do today," and mean it. She'd been carrying that list around for days. And on the other side of the placemat, write, "Things I would like the universe to do." And then write the things on the left side of this column that you really are going to do today. Either things that you must do, things that you want to do, things that you intend to do today. And everything else put on the universe's side of the placemat. And not only was she more effective at the things that she had kept for herself to do, but the things that she had put on the universe's side of the placemat began to take care of themselves. People she needed to talk to called her or called the office. All kinds of things began to shape up, where by the next morning, more had been accomplished on the universe's side of the placemat than Esther had kept for herself, and Esther had applied no action. That's leverage, you see. The most effective method of getting more time back is to delegate to the manager, the universal manager. And as you do that, you'll find that you will have more time to do the things that really matter. You are living in an environment where you have clocks and calendars and appointments, and time is a wonderful thing. Isn't it nice that we rendezvoused because of a certain time, and that time allows us all to focus simultaneously so that together we can take thought beyond that which it has been before? You just have to see time as your advantage. It's my focusing advantage. When I think of 20 years, that's a segment in which I focus in a certain way. When I think of 5 years, that's a segment in which I focus in a certain way. When I think of here and now while I'm visiting with Abraham, that's a segment where I focus in a certain way. And the focus factor is the big factor. The alignment factor is everything. To us, time is irrelevant because all of our power, yours too, is here and now. You can't focus yesterday, and you can't focus tomorrow. You can only focus now. You can think about the past, or you can think about the present, or you can think about the future, but you're doing it all right now. And so, from our perspective, now is now is now. And now, as far as we're concerned, is alignment. That's what we're wanting to teach you. So if you use your now to align, time takes care of itself. If you don't align, if you let the things that are bothering you occupy your thoughts, and so that your vibration is all about them, now your timing's off. Jerry and Esther are driving down the road one day, and there have been several incidences like this, but Jerry was driving, and he was signaling left and was going to turn across traffic. And as he was sitting there, he had an impulse of hesitation. And Esther blurted, "Stay." And so instead of turning, even though the roadway was clear, he stayed right there. And at that moment, a car going over 100 miles an hour passed him on the left side. And if he had made his turn, they would have been broadsided. The fact that they were tuned in, tapped in, turned on, made the timing in their life perfect. Timing is everything, and the timing that we want you to focus upon is something that you feel viscerally. Instead of timing, we want to talk about connection, which gives you ultimate timing. Jerry and Esther have a friend who lives in San Antonio, and they live in the hill country, which is a higher elevation. And they went into the post office one day, and the post office was completely inundated with water. It had been raining, and much of this little town of Bernie was underwater. And they went immediately home and called their friend, who has 1,000 acres, but the Cibolo Creek flows right through their property. And they have farm equipment and animals and all kinds of things in a pasture that adjoins this stream. And so Esther called and said, "Cibolo is over its banks here and headed your way." And Pat said, "Oh, thank you so much." And she moved her tractors and her horses and her cattle from the field and called back later and said, "So nice to have a friend upstream." And we say, you have such a friend upstream. You have source energy. You have broader view. And when you take the time to align with that, not only is your timing about everything better, everything about your body functions are better. Everything about your metabolism is better. Everything about your cellular movement is better. Everything about your mind power is better. Everything about your timing with others is better. When Jerry and Esther awaken and take the time to bask and maybe take a walk, maybe meditate for a little while, take time to enjoy one another, as Jerry and Esther start a day like that, their impulse to get on the road leads them not only to the perfect getting on the road, to the perfect rendezvousing, but it leads them to the perfect inspiration about the perfect routes for the perfect day. And the perfect day doesn't always mean about the fastest way. Sometimes it's the most beautiful way. Sometimes it's the rendezvousing at a truck stop with someone that is meaningful. In other words, a friend upstream knows all of the things that you want and all of the things that you intend and will inspire you to the perfect timing of all of that, you see. Esther will say, "We're in the zone. We're in the zone." She can just feel when they're in the zone. Numbers line up. All kinds of things line up. People that they meet, they can just feel that they are being guided from a broader perspective. Someone gave them a Staples Easy button. They left it on the table one day. And Esther took it back to the coach and put it in a predominant place. And every time she noticed it, or every time something would happen that seemed to happen in the flow, she would pop that button and the voice would say, "That was easy. That was easy." And she got addicted to this button. That was easy. 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 The more you notice it is going well, the more in the flow you become, and the more the universe yields to you the time to do not only the things that you need to do, but the time to do the things that you want to do. Until in time, you will only be doing the things that you want to do, because everything that you are doing will be so life-giving in nature. You will not separate the stuff I need to do from the stuff I want to do, because it's all stuff that I want to do. Esther teases every day of the world relative to everything that matters. She says to Jerry, "I can't possibly make this." And it's just her way of saying, I am now focusing within this framework of time in order to rendezvous where I need to be when I need to be. Jerry does not wear a watch. He refuses to let time dictate him. But he counts on Esther to wear a watch and let him know anything that is important. But it is interesting to Esther to watch him, because even without his watch, he has excellent timing. He'll be working on an editing project, sitting back further in the bus while Esther is driving, and they will have an interchange that is important to them. And Esther will be watching the navigational system, knowing that this choice will come up, because often they don't follow what the navigational system encourages, because they have some other option. They don't want to go necessarily the fastest way. They want to see a particular truck stop, or they want to see a particular FedEx box, or there's a particular campground or restaurant that they want to go to. And so Esther is watching the navigational screen, and it is uncanny how often, without hearing anything yet, Jerry will come forward in the coach just at the right moment. He just senses that it's time. He has this broader view, and what it is his friend upstream that is the best navigational system in the world, that will always guide you to rendezvousing with what you are wanting. The problem with watching clocks and calendars and to-do lists and letting things like that dictate the things that you do, so that you are not spontaneous and flexible, is that you often miss what you're really looking for, because you're doing what you think you should do. The universe is leading you to what you really want, while often you're doing what you think that you need to do, and they are not always the same thing. We look forward to them always being the same thing for you. And that's why the Sudbury book is so exhilarating to so many people. That freedom that those children have. The premise of the school is there is no curriculum that is assigned. And if you have a desire, the school will find a way to accommodate your desire. But it does not tell you what your desires should be. It provides an environment where your own desire can be born. And when it is, then it supports whatever desire is born within you. And so that feeling of freedom that you read in that book is the way you intended to feel about this life experience. You did not intend to have all these shoulds and shouldn'ts and do's and don'ts, because you knew that you were a worthy being coming forth to create a masterful life. Further, you knew that the details of your life would inspire you specifically, and that those outside of you could not give you the most appropriate information. And so the clock isn't the best information about time, and the calendar isn't the best information about time. The vibrational relativity between where you are and what you want is what you're wanting to use as your guiding force. Jerry and Esther have a little friend that they have been watching and loving. He lives in Colorado, and he is now attending a Sudbury school in Colorado. And so on the last cruise, they were visiting with him, and Jerry asked him, "Tell me about your day." And he said, "I'm free at last." And Jerry and Esther's hearts are singing because they love this little man so much. And then Jerry said, "Well, give us more details about your day." And he said, "I'm free, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free." And Jerry said, "Well, so your mother drops you off, then what?" And he said, "Then I go to this place and I play some video games." And then Jerry said, "And then what?" And he said, "And then I play some more video games." And Jerry said, "And then what?" And he said, "And then I go to another place where I play some other video games." And then what? And then it's time for lunch. And then what? Then I go in where the big kids are and I play some more video games. And Jerry and Esther smiled at each other as they thought, this one will have no problem remembering anything. If history matters and he focuses upon it, he'll get it. If mathematics matters and he focuses upon it, he'll get it. But the thing that is hard for so many humans to get is that there is really no point in somebody else deciding what you should know and then providing an environment where in your state of resistance in not feeling free, you are then encouraged to try to learn it, because under those conditions, your ability to learn is hampered intensely. Where when you are going with your flow and something occurs to you that you would like to know, in your tuned in, tapped in, turned on state, you become a magnificent genius. All genius is attention to a subject. Law of attraction takes care of the rest. But if your attention to the subject is split with your thinking you should learn it but not wanting to learn it, now you are not tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and now it's slow going. It's not different than turning your canoe upstream and working very hard and then getting those mediocre grades from those teachers who are also paddling upstream, getting very mediocre results.